at the end of the day, people are hiring us because we're humans, right? And if they just wanted to plan an event through ChatGPT or whatever format they use, they would do that, and then they would realize that on site, ChatGPT isn't there. They aren't picking up at the airport, and they aren't at the reg desk. The difference between us and other organizations is we are there on site the whole way through. And we are really the extension of your team. So the more information that you share with us as humans, the more that we can add the human touch that everyone is begging for, which is why they're coming to events, right? Hey, Ashley, welcome back.
Hello, glad to be here.
It seems like everybody these days is asking about artificial intelligence. So it's hard to have a conversation about any industry and not have AI come up at some point. So naturally for us, the question arose, what sort of effect, if any, does it have on DMCs and how they operate? So artificial intelligence has most certainly changed some things about how we do business in the realm of destination management. And there's no denying that it has its uses. But no matter how advanced technology gets, there will always be vital aspects of event planning that require a special touch that only the talent and experience of a local DMC professional can provide. So let's dive into sort of what is the AI landscape these days, and then let's talk a little bit today about how it does impact our business at a DMC and the meeting planners that we support. So Ashley, take a stab at the AI landscape, sort of big picture, and kind of hone us in here to get started.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing that I took away from AI impact on the events industry is this real global adoption, right? So according to the American Express GBT Meetings and Events 2025 Global Forecast, which I think is a great place to start, 50% of planners worldwide plan to use AI technology in 2025. So that is a huge increase from an AI adoption perspective within the industry. So when you think about that perspective, it's not going anywhere. People are embracing it. So it's beneficial for us to understand the resources that it provides us. But I think we have to also balance that and weigh it out with the human aspect that's still so vital to what we do as a company. So how do we kind of balance the fact that everyone's embracing AI, but we also want to not lose sight of the human impact that it has, and how we can harness that ability as well.
So let's take it literal and talk about the event planning experience and what are some of the moments where AI makes a lot of sense to engage and where we are using it day to day now that maybe we weren't even a year ago. Because I think about a couple of basic places. I'll get started here. A couple of basic places where I am using AI that I wouldn't have even thought to use in the past. We're a Microsoft team here at CSI. Yeah. We love our Microsoft products. So we get all aligned in teams, all of our meetings, all of our fun. And Copilot is obviously the AI affiliation there. And so I find that just in the first stages of planning an event, that engaging Copilot to record the first meetings and summarize them and loop back like the hot topics and the action items is invaluable. Like, think about all the times that we had to scribble all the notes down, make sure we understood, did I write that date correctly? Did I have the verbiage that they shared about their tagline? Like, did I really fully understand the message that I was getting on that first initial call with a client? Now I don't have to feel the stress of that as much anymore if I have Copilot involved that's actually like taking the notes with me. And, sometimes at a DMC we get kind of there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen in a good way, we think, because we've got our sales professional, our event professional, our creative services professional. We're all working together to create the experience for the client, business development, transportation. Could be 6, 7 people on every program that we do. If not all 6 or 7 people are on that call where they're learning those moments and those hot buttons and those little touches, but you have the information from the Copilot recording, it actually is such a valuable document to save down into our CRM and live and breathe off of, especially in the early planning phases. So step 1, that has been a pivotal change, I think. And as long as your clients are comfortable with you, bringing in that recording and asking permission and all of that, there just seems to be so much value in that.
Oh, absolutely. It's inviting AI into the organization planning early, right? So that you have that opportunity. And they can really not only take that information that you've recorded or those notes, you can then feed that back into, a language learning model and create a really robust, whether it's an agenda for the details of the event, or whether it's, a list of action items or next steps that need to be taken, and then share that out. So it not only allows you to gather all the information, it allows you to organize the information and then share that out with the entire planning committee, with the entire, team behind it, your clients, to feel like, okay, we're all on the same page. We can all kind of work off the same thing. I think another thing for us that we do at our company really well is understanding that, the AI and the creativity piece can go hand in hand. It's really just understanding and developing a way to make sure that you're using it in a beneficial way. So, we use AI platforms like ChatGPT or Spark. They can take this data, right, and they can make content creation from it. They can understand a little bit bigger, broader, like what your mission, what your vision, like what your creative ideas are in the early stages. And then we can really prompt that to generate some suggestions and some brainstorming around that, to allow us to then create a really creative moment and take a little bit of the tedious part of sometimes that creativity, and be able to focus on the fun and the exciting and the deeper dive. So I think that's something that we do all the time, is just understanding that it can be a marriage between creativity and AI. It just needs to be done in an appropriate way.
Right. And it's more than just dropping into, AI, hey, what would be a good agenda for this, tour event that we're planning for spouses, right? It's much more than that. It is very much taking maybe some content from that and then weaving in some of those CSI moments that we're always trying to create that, take it to the next level and have the personal touches that people are looking for, and why they're, paying for a service like a DMC along the way, in the process. With that, I think visually what we're bringing to the table has a lot of AI influences as well. And, Dolly being the one that sort of comes to mind for me first. But I've been thinking about how, if anyone has, come across one of our proposals over the years, our proposals are very visual. Almost everything that we're selling in an event experience, we have a picture of. And that's how we're selling it. We may not even have a description. It may just be, a label of what it is, but with a really great dynamic picture to showcase it. Now, we're not just trying to rinse and repeat pictures of things and, keep doing the same old. We want to custom create things for our clients. And we used to be so limited to what that custom creation looked like. Could we build it out in a Photoshop orientation and drop it into the page and say, look at what could be possible, and we'll engage a fabricator to build it. Now we can use these platforms that AI has created for us to actually say, okay, we're going to use this Pantone color, and we're going to use this height of an archway, and we want to have this and that and blah, blah, blah. Put the logo in, and it actually creates that entryway that we were designing by hand and probably not doing it to its full justice, but AI is. And then to even go back and tweak it and say, hey, we want to add some LED features. We want to add some, moving elements or whatever the extras might be. And to put that in a real picture in front of a proposal to say, hey, this is what the entryway is going to feel like. And it's never felt this way before because it doesn't exist. And we have a team that'll make it exist. We were using our imagination a lot before, and now AI is bringing our imagination to life. And I think that's been a really wonderful change, and allowed us to do more interesting things at some of our events, candidly.
Well, yeah, and also to really, shorten the time frame that we're able to inspire our clients, right? So, for instance, we also have been diving into MidJourney, which is another option similar to a Dolly. But, using those like the photo inspiration maybe of the space that you're looking at, or the idea of kind of the concept, and then adding those specific elements, like you said, the lighting, the furniture, the treatments, the wall treatments, the other things that can alter the space. That gives the ability for us to present out maybe multiple options and multiple inspirations, and really dive in deeper to what our clients want, and not having to wait for, the full kind of design aspect that we would have to from a vendor or supplier before. It shortens that ability for us to really like have those conversations and start that momentum moving forward.
Absolutely, but you still need to have like a creative mind to do that, right? And so what I thought was interesting is I was on a brainstorming call recently, and we were working out some, new ideas for a very particular client, and we each put into sort of the AI system. We were all working off of slightly different AI programs, right? And we all had the same vision in our head and the same sort of information from the client, but we each use different verbiage, slightly different, just a slight tweak to everything based on sort of how we were picturing this sort of event experience to shape out to. And we got dramatically different things back, which I thought was so interesting because it really, for me, that's where the human element comes in, right? It's exactly what words and what, where you're putting emphasis and where you're tweaking things slightly because from your experience as a professional event planner, what elements are most important. And so we all got different things back from the same sort of ask. And it allowed us to really take things to the next level and say, okay, if we went in this direction, it would be like this, and that could be like that. And if we combine the two, imagine how cool it could be. So I think there's just something to be said for how the professionals engage with it, because that's part of why we are partnered with major companies all over the world, because we're the humans that are connecting the AI to the real experience at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, the key here is, AI is that beautiful tool that can simplify, but it's never a replacement for what we're trying to really do, which is use our own creative prowess to inspire and to, direct our clients. I think one thing I thought was really interesting too, and kind of a takeaway is, we as a DMC are using AI vastly different than our meeting planner friends, because they're looking at it for really that audience insight, those kind of detailed opportunities to really define agendas and to use it as a more of like a personalization opportunity to kind of create those moments of like building out content that can really be nuanced and personalized and to garner a lot of insights into audience engagement and whether or not they're interacting with the content, and to simplify some of those tedious tasks that come with meeting planning. So I wanted to ask to you, I mean, I know you have so many connections and you have these conversations with your friends all the time, but what are you hearing from some of your industry influences and colleagues that are on the client side of what they're using AI for and how they're seeing it as a benefit?
Yeah, I think they're using it for menu creation. I think that one comes up a lot because it's just so easy to drop and dump and make sure you're not putting chicken on every, in front of everyone every meal of the day and things like that. They're using it for personalization. The more data that they're dropping into AI and pulling reports to understand what the demographic of their audiences are and how to personalize the experience more is another place where I think it adds an incredible amount of value. And we used to like hand pull that data, and it was crazy, and they're just saving so much time and being able to focus their energy on making the event experience so much stronger because they have the right data going into things. I've seen some use them for agendas and how they're really curating agendas a little bit more and tailoring them a little bit more to the audience. But also, a lot of my colleagues and friends that are in management roles are using them as a management tool quite a bit. And I think that's something that we're going to see across all industries, and we already are seeing across all industries, and just helping, with job reviews and job descriptions and hiring efforts and even like standard operating procedures and processes. I think we've all taken a moment to get more dialed in with those types of elements to our business, because what's interesting is a lot of my clients are the top person on the event planning spectrum at their company, but their company is not an event planning company. Their company is a financial firm or a technology company or pharmaceutical, right? And so they're the best at what they do at their company for events, but they are talking internally to maybe somebody who's oversees marketing or communications or a different role completely. And so they're having to take the event planner knowledge that they have and sort of change their verbiage a little bit internally to their stakeholders to get things done. And I think they're using ChatGPT and similar things to do that, just to get their words out clearer and get their reporting out with more ROI shown and things like that. So it's a huge gamut, but I am seeing it across the board. And, a lot of people do say, we have rules against which AI tools we're allowed to use, but we all, we created our own, we did whatever, but they're all using them in some capacity.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that's a really key point is that communication aspect, right? I think, these big AI platforms like ChatGPT, they're a language learning model. So the more you put into them, the more you're going to get back. And so the more you use an AI tool for something like that, the better the results are going to be, especially as it relates to, some of the details that you're trying to communicate. I think something interesting too that I just wanted to share that, kind of is an interesting aspect is we're also seeing the results of our industry being kind of, I think, finessed and, harnessed a bit more in AI because we are using it more. Like just to share my journey, I remember plugging something into ChatGPT, a year and a half ago, talking about some specifics about event planning and, even just some details of, resources. And the information that I got was kind of, I might take some of it and use it, but it wasn't really valuable. But now we're seeing that what we've put into it, and I think that embrace in AI, that 50%, usage, nowadays, when I plug things in and I get some information back, it's really resourceful and useful. So I think that's also just an interesting trend that we're seeing that investment is there and the results are really just beneficial. I even had a client the other day that said, hey, I was looking for a DMC in a certain location and I plugged it into ChatGPT and your name popped up. And it was a great feeling to know that the resources and time that we're putting in are benefiting us. And, selfishly from a sales perspective, that's never a bad thing too, to see our name pop up in a language learning model. But just an interesting aspect as we kind of continue this navigation of AI.
I think it's taken over for Google sometimes. People search ChatGPT instead of where they would normally have searched, and it's working. It's a sales tool. Totally.
Yeah. So I kind of, I want to pivot to where we see AI fall short, right? I think, we get this question a lot from clients and the ethical conversation, but also the limitation conversation. And where do we as a DMC and where do DMCs in general need to kind of put our stake in the ground of where we're putting the limitations on AI to make sure that we are still producing, creative, thoughtful content for our clients. And where are we communicating that like, hey, we use it, but this is not where we'd use it, or this is where it's falling short and we understand that. So have you kind of had those conversations with our team and, other folks within the industry of like what that looks like from a DMC perspective and how we're communicating that?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, people are hiring us because we're humans, right? And if they just wanted to plan an event through ChatGPT or whatever format they use, they would do that. And then they would realize that on site, ChatGPT isn't there. They aren't picking you up at the airport and they aren't, they aren't at the reg desk making sure that, where the, ability to add on registrations is and all the other things, right? We even talk about this sometimes with other types of organizations that have some overlap in what we do, CVBs and other things. The difference between us and other organizations is we are there on site the whole way through. And we are really the extension of your team. So the more information that you share with us as humans, the more that we can add the human touch that everyone is begging for, which is why they're coming to events, right? So, I was reading something recently where Sam Altman, the founder of ChatGPT and all the parent company of it, he was saying how, everyone's so nervous that AI is taking jobs and all of that, but in the event sector, there's going to be a need even more so for the human experience, and the face-to-face meetings are actually going to increase because of the use of AI. And so I thought that was really interesting, gave me a lot of confidence in what we do. But the reality is that people are making an investment on in-person meetings because they believe that the face-to-face connection is the priority. So if we believe that, which we very wholeheartedly do, then we need to, show how the face-to-face connection in the planning of the AI, We need to show that the planning of the face-to-face meeting has to have the human element as well. Because at the end of the day, the humans that make up our local teams are the experts. They know inside and out everything about those hotel properties and the ballrooms and the special venues and where the transportation buses hide when they're not pulling up at the curb, and all of those little nuances you're not going to find through a search bar. And that's the value add of hiring a company like ours, and that's not going anywhere. And I think that the true reality is that we are boots on the ground, there to execute and make it happen. And these virtual partners of ours that are, digitally helping along the way are fine, and their little add-ons here and there are wonderful touches, especially when it comes to data driving and, time saving. But when you're actually at the event, you need the humans there to bring it all to life for you.
Yeah, no, I think that's key. And I think the human connection piece is something that across the board, we're seeing an emphasis and a pivot to, obviously from a marketing background, that's just a key thing that everything being so digitized and everything being so at your fingertips and having this ability to get all of this information, the real luxury aspect that people are looking for is that face-to-face human interaction. Mm-hmm. So when we're talking about what we do as a company, as a DMC, we're a luxury service. It's something that, we know that not everyone is going to come and, seek out, right? It is something that is valued as a luxury service, right? So, sorry, I lost my train of thought. So we know that obviously a DMC is a luxury service, right? And we know that human interaction piece is becoming more luxury to all consumers, no matter what industry we're talking about. But from a DMC perspective, I think we can harness that to say, this is really the bespoke luxury experience is having this human aspect and human interaction piece, and not being kind of fed into this kind of AI wormhole where you're just kind of getting the regurgitated information out. We're really that ability to provide that different approach and that, hands-on approach that's really becoming more, I think, scarce in the world of, technology and AI and all of these things. So I think that's a great selling tool for us as we talk to clients, that we have that aspect and we're never going to lose that aspect. And it's really valuable to us. And we're going to use those other, tools and technologies, but we're always going to be that face-to-face.
Absolutely. And in the comments, I want to hear from you all. What is the craziest, tell us your confession. What is the craziest thing you've ever put into an AI search bar when you were planning an event? What questions are you asking the bots, and what are you getting back from them? We want to hear from you. I know we didn't have a huge amount of confessions today on the podcast, but I do think the confessions are out there. I know we've all probably put something really funny into a search bar for AI, and I thought it would be fun to hear from you all in the comments section. Just some of the responses you've gotten, as well as even the questions you've asked. If you're not afraid to share, please do.
I love that idea. We could definitely have a little bit of fun of, ChatGPT confessions. Let's spill the beans on it. I think it would be great. So yeah, I echo what you say, Cara. Let's hear from all of you. I can't wait to hear the crazy things that you've had to ask a chatbot.
Exactly. Well, I think we covered, the big picture when it comes to AI, how it impacts our, DMC world, which is a very specific, part of the corporate event planning market. But I think there's so much more to come, and the future of AI is going to be ever changing. And I think this is going to be a topic that we continue to dabble with over the next several episodes. So we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear your confessions about your AI experiences. And maybe there's a moment where you were so thankful to have the luxury of an in-person human to save the day. So thanks for tuning in today, guys. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much.